everybody, welcome to Sled Talk, where we love talking everything snowmobiles, from pulling the cord to pulling your hair out. There is nothing, and I mean nothing, Steve, that we won't talk about. I'm Rob Reed.
I'm Steve Glass.
And we are here to talk about absolutely everything.
Okay.
And off we go, right? So you know what, Steve? It's been an interesting winter, and as we're riding towards the end of the snowmobile season, there's been things that we can follow up that we've talked about over the season.
Okay.
In one of our shows, Record Breakers and Movie Makers, that was a fairly recent show that we put on. We talked about Wasaga Beach going after the Guinness Book of World Records for snowmobile. You remember that?
Yeah, I do now, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Did they get it?
They did not.
Oh, damn it.
They did not have enough people show up or enough participants that the event, I guess, went to its full capacity, whatever it is. They needed 1,047 sleds to make this happen. Didn't happen.
Did they say how many they got?
It didn't.
Okay.
It didn't. I didn't go that deep into it. But because they did this, even though it failed, they still raised money for charities and all the local supports and all the good stuff that needs to go on in the snowmobile world that gives back to the community.
Right.
So I'm thinking that you should organize this in Manitoba next year and see about getting 1,048 snowmobiles.
I wonder if there's a record for the number of snowmobiles in Woodlands, Manitoba. You know, we could start small.
I doubt that Guinness gives a shit.
Like 30? We could try with 30 maybe? Okay.
No, I think you should try it. You know, I mean, you're kind of an organizing kind of guy.
Totally,
you can pull this together. I mean, you know.
Yeah, just show up on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do here. We'll have a bonfire and have hot dogs.
I have this feeling you may have to do a little more work than that.
Probably.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm glad they tried. I hope they try again. You know, it's always
cool.
good.
Yeah.
Always good to be giving back one way or the other. And if nothing else, at least it gives everyone something to talk about in the snowmobiling world.
Right.
One more activity, one more thing to do.
Okay. So is that story where it says the monkey's missing?
It doesn't say monkey. It says money. It says money still raised for charity, right there in English.
Is that part of the same story?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no monkeys.
So their money's missing? Money still... Oh, raised! Sorry, okay. I'm on board now. Oh, that was what you're talking about. They raised good money for charity. All right, perfect. I have a cold. I don't feel well. I like that. Okay. So they didn't say how much money they raised.
They did not say how much money they raised either, and there were no monkeys harmed.
All right.
So, you know, when the sad day for Otis comes, are you going to get a monkey?
No.
Well, I mean, at least you'd have a helper in here.
No.
All right.
Maybe another border collie, but not a monkey.
Okay. All right. Did you know? Obviously, the war in Russia and Ukraine is going on, and this one, for a bunch of reasons, you know, kind of, I pay attention to it, as you know.
Yeah.
Russia recently used snowmobiles to attack Ukraine.
Did they say what kind of snowmobiles?
They did not.
Okay, I'd be curious.
But what happened, apparently, was it was a disastrous failure. The Ukrainians, go Ukraine, kicked butt and destroyed half of the forces sent towards them. Apparently it was 10 snowmobiles.
All right. I was visioning something a little bit bigger than that. But did you know that the Canadian military had snowmobiles made up? Somebody posted this, but it was probably about 10 years ago, and they were designed by or sold through Argo.
I did not know
They were
that.
all white. They had diesel motors.
Yeah.
Google it.
Okay.
It was a Canadian military. I don't know how many of them they bought. They were all white. They were kind of a
So were they
utility.
6 and 8 wheeled snowmobiles?
No. They bought Argos too off of them, but they were like a utility type sled, and they had diesel motors. I thought it was kind of neat. And they were designed obviously for up north. They were all painted white and everything. And the big comment was how well would the diesel start up north and stuff. That's what people were saying. But
Well, that would be a pretty big concern for me.
yeah,
I mean, I've been on rides where 4-stroke Yamahas wouldn't start.
I know.
And without a pull cord or nothing, so they were finding all kinds of crazy ways to heat them up and warm them up so they could get them to start.
I'll send you a picture you can stick on here of it.
Would you?
Yeah.
All
It was a neat looking sled. It was actually, if you could ever find one for, just have around.
I'll leave you in charge of that.
you could just have
You
one
haven't
of
even found me a 79 TXL yet. I mean, you've been pretty slacking in that regard.
I think you should buy a
Not too
Centurion.
happy.
I think you should buy a Centurion instead.
Why? I didn't have a Centurion.
I know, but 3 cylinders looks the same.
Yeah, well, it does look the same, but it's 3 cylinders. But I'll tell you, I'd probably have a harder time picking the skis off the ground like a 2-cylinder would.
Right.
Because that nice little twin TXL hated having its skis on the snow.
Okay, well, I'll look for them. I'll keep looking for them.
Absolutely hated it.
That in the military. Snowmobile.
Okay.
Cool. What's next?
All right. India.
Yes.
India has banned snowmobiles.
I didn't even know they had snowmobiles. I didn't know you could ride snowmobiles there. I guess they have mountains and stuff. I don't know anything about India, really, but...
That's why we're bringing it up, because I bet you many people here are thinking exactly the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yet.
So banned because they don't want them wrecking the environment?
Exactly. Okay. So they have some plains that are, I guess, somewhere near the bottom of the Himalayan mountains.
Okay.
So they would have Rocky Mountain Kings if they weren't banned. And these areas are very environmentally sensitive.
Okay, yeah.
And so they have now banned snowmobiles in India. So anyone that's planning a snowmobile trip to India,
think twice.
Yeah, reconsider. There might be somewhere else to go. I'm going to suggest avoiding Russia because they need more sleds now. And they may just take yours from you for nefarious purposes.
Come to Woodlands and we'll start on the 1047 sleds.
I think they need to show up on the same day.
Oh, okay.
It's not accumulative.
That would work better.
Yeah, okay. All right. Steve, I want to talk about grooming.
Yes.
So I had the opportunity to talk to some people that owned a club, or not owned a club, wrong way of saying
Club
it.
members.
Club members.
Yeah.
And they were talking about lack of volunteers and costs and so on. And I said, well, there's 3 clubs in this general area.
Yeah.
Why don't those 3 clubs amalgamate the grooming? And instead of having 5 groomers cover this area, have say 2, maybe 3. Hire some full-time people. I know one of the clubs already has hired a full-time guy. But then take the money saved or earned, whatever you want to call it, from selling a couple of those groomers. Put that towards maintenance of other groomers, other things. It lowers your fundraising requirements. You can pay the drivers to go do their jobs, train them properly, because that was the other gripe the guy had as well. Our guy, especially trained. Like, you couldn't train somebody to do this?
I thought of that too, because same thing, like our local club used to hire another club to come in and do their trail before they owned their own groomer. And it wasn't ideal because it would only get done every few weeks or once a month or something. But they had a trail system and they didn't have a groomer. And the other club, whoever they were hiring, was getting paid to come in and do their trails with their groomer, making a little bit of money. That was probably, might have been before Snowman was really paying to have the trails groomed. I'm not sure.
You're going back a ways on that.
You know, there seems to be a lot of overlapping trails. And it does seem like the clubs could sort of plan their trail systems between clubs a little bit more and cut down on grooming a little bit. Maybe try to save some money. I mean, I'm not going to tell them how to do it, but you're right.
Well,
I mean, locally, there's 5 groomers in 3 clubs.
Yeah.
And
that to me seems like a huge waste. Like if you were running this like a business, there's no way you would be doing that.
Yeah.
But because it's volunteers and people to give their time and their best, interests, they're bringing everything that they want to do, and the idea is good.
Well, you know what? I think part of the problem is you're a club. You have a hard enough time organizing your own group of people, right? And getting work done. Now try involving 2 or 3 more clubs into this group.
Well, that's where you set it up as maybe a separate co-op.
I don't think
right? Something like that, like a separate business that is designed within this group to manage the trails for you.
Yeah.
And as such, like I say, your costs go way down. Like, how much more time would your volunteers have to fix trails, set up club events, and do things if you weren't focused so solely on grooming, right? And maintaining your groomers. Because that was the other thing. Oh, our groomer's broken down, but our guy is the only guy that knows how to run this groomer. It was, I gotta say, almost ridiculous listening to this guy. Because nobody else can do this. Oh, come on. You're running a groomer. Yes, there's skill. required to run a groomer
But
and understand
obviously,
it.
there's at least 3 skilled guys between these 3 clubs that can all run the groomers, right?
I'm going to say we're living in farm country, right?
Yeah.
There is no shortage of people that know how to run this kind of equipment. People run heavy equipment all over the province, all over the country, all over North America. It's not rocket science. Yes, there's training, okay? I don't want to see groomers get broken,
Yep.
but, but at the same time, I just think it's a huge waste of money. I really do.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is-
they could be able to.
Well,
save
talk
a few
about
bucks.
relief for a club if you didn't have to do all that work, or do less of it. Let's
Yeah.
say it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then the other part of that, I was reading some stats not long ago. Manitoba has the 3rd highest number of trails, kilometers-wise, in Canada. We are not the 3rd largest province. Maybe geographically we're up there. I don't know, Steve, exactly where we fit in geographical size, but from a population point of view, do we need to be the 3rd largest? I mean, maybe it's a bragging point, but every time you talk to someone in a club, our volunteers are tired. We only have a small group. We can't do. Well, why are you creating more and more trails all the time that you have no energy to service?
Go ahead. Happy about the new trail going by your house.
I love that trail. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, call me out on it.
I used to think that too in a way. Back in the day when there was no trails, right? And we have to like get on our trailers and head to Carberry and spend a day there and enjoy it. And it was like, wow, we're on a groomed trail. This is awesome.
But that's when it was provincially maintained.
But then it got to where there was everywhere that we used to ride was suddenly becoming a trail.
Yeah.
And that's when I really thought, come on, there's just way too many trails. Like, there's no. You'll get a lot of people who don't want to have trail passes that are going to agree with that in a way too, right? Like, they're like, you can't go anywhere without hitting a groomed trail anymore.
Well, that was the debate when that came in.
I mean, some of the trails probably could be eliminated and just link up to the next club and put some miles on and hit some towns without a million little loops. But if you're out with your kids, a loop's nice too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going back to the days when, you're right, it was provincial.
Exciting to hit a groomed trail back then.
And then suddenly trail passes came in and more grooming, and it's the maturity of the sport. There's nothing wrong with that.
When we used to go to Carberry, did we have to have a trail pass or just a park pass? I don't think we had a trail pass.
I don't recall. We needed a park pass.
Yeah.
But there was that whole, I mean, God, this is going back to the late 80s, early 90s, all that arguing and bitching about, oh, now I have to have a trail pass.
Well,
I would rather, people are just grooming ditches anyways.
You and I were a big part of the bitching, I think,
we were
early on, because
at that point,
suddenly they groomed the Prime Meridian that we used to ride constantly, and all of a sudden now it's a groomed trail. We have to have a pass, and everywhere else that we used to ride, you have to have passes. And then you get old, you go, God, groomed trails are sure nice.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, we've both, I'll say, flopped on that one.
Yeah.
And I think rightly so. But my question isn't, are groomed trails a good thing to have or a bad thing?
Yeah,
I'm talking about quantity.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I
agree with that. And every mile of groomed trail you have to groom. So now your groomers are out grooming away. And
well, and I mentioned in a previous episode, like just talking to the South Interlake snow riders, their guy is 38 hours a week in a groomer, doing their entire system.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that they have excessive amount of trails. They have some big loops.
Yeah.
But that's a full-time job for one guy.
Yeah.
Now, does that not mean that, they could run shifts and a couple of drivers to hit other people's trails and that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Because, the group that I ran into.
I think they have a super nice groomer too. Like a really reliable newer groomer.
The South Interlake people do, yeah.
But you know what? That club was using that groomer I think this is right. They were using that groomer to like clear roadways and driveways and push berms down and stuff to make extra money for their club, for the community of Stonewall, I think.
Oh, could be.
Whereas they could have been out grooming somebody else's trail and trying to make a few bucks that way too.
Right, and where I was going with this is the
but
club
they only get paid for so many kilometers a year though too. That has to change if they're grooming for other clubs.
Well, I'm sure they would.
Sorry.
I'm sure they would. I mean, I don't know the mechanics of all that. But the club, the guy was saying, well, our guy's the only guy and blah, 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 blah. Well, their trail wasn't groomed. I was out on it 4 days ago, and a part of their system was groomed, but certainly not the area that we were on, and it was rough as hell.
And I believe Inwood's been having problems with their groomers being broken this year quite a bit. I think I heard that, and that could be, if you could like get another club to come in and help you out a bit with that sort of thing. Suddenly you're, and they have 2 groomers, I think.
Well, I'm going to say between these 3 clubs, each one of them has a competent groomer, like the guy that can, operator.
Yeah, for sure.
They all have competent operators, and I know one of the complaints was, well, our groomer is for 8-foot trails and their groomer's for 10-foot trails. Well, guess what? Get out there with your volunteers and widen it up a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Standardization isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No.
I mean, if Steve Jobs and his gang had to fix their chargers so that they fit in everything and all that, I'm pretty sure we can, standardize some snowmobile trails.
So you're thinking maybe a few less trails, a little more communication between the clubs.
Some consolidation.
Share some grooming maybe to cut down on costs.
Yeah, consolidation of grooming. I understand that each club has its own identity,
Yeah.
and I'm not asking or suggesting that should go away, because it shouldn't.
No, yeah.
I mean, people take pride in their clubs, in their warm-up shacks, in their events, in their community. But I'm talking about the mechanics of maintaining it. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
And I think it could be done far more efficiently.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. So, New York, Canton, New York, of all places. One of the fellas out there didn't have the getaway he was hoping for. So I guess he had stolen a snowmobile and was all excited about having stolen this snowmobile because, I mean, if you're stealing it, you must be pretty pumped up about what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise you would just kind of walk past it and go home. So he's pretty excited about what he stole, but I guess the police saw it and they got excited too because it gave him something to do.
Yeah.
And so they chased this guy and he races into a swamp thinking, I'll show you coppers.
Yeah.
And he got himself stuck.
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, the cops just walked up to him and threw him in handcuffs and gave him what he needed. Yeah. But you got to sit back and think, once again, we've talked about the shallow end of the gene pool, and this guy was definitely from that. Because if you don't know where you're headed,
don't steal a snowmobile?
Don't steal a snowmobile.
Unless you have a plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think this through just a little.
Right. Yeah. Well,
so
sure, maybe it's just an impulsive thing. You just stole it and
I guess.
hadn't thought it through.
But we got a lot of crap recently. I wouldn't say a lot of crap, but some interesting comments on a recent post about police enforcement and all these things that go on. But if it's your snowmobile getting stolen, aren't you kind of glad that enforcement's around?
Yeah, absolutely.
I talk about being out with my daughter, and the last thing I want is her coming around a corner towards some guy who is half plastered, right? And we've seen that walk into a warm-up shack just last year. You and I walked into a warm-up shack, and there was 4 or 5 guys. One of them could barely stand.
Yeah, it happens.
Yep. And like I say, you don't need someone, whether it's me, you, or my daughter, coming around a corner and having this guy take it tight because he's half pissed and he thinks he's AJ Foyt or something, and killing somebody.
You know what I've never understood? I read things about red light cameras and speed cameras and stuff like that. Yeah. And I've been hit with speed cameras about 3 times in school zones where I didn't know it was a school zone.
Right.
And it's upsetting. It costs you money. But you go, I broke the law.
I did it.
And people complain like, red light cameras are bad, speed limit cameras are bad, snowmobile enforcement's bad. Those have to be the people that are out there breaking the law. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, they're pissed off because they got caught.
I've been caught the odd time, not for on a snowmobile for anything, but like I said, red light cameras, or not red light cameras, well, speeding cameras, and I'm not happy, but I broke the law and I got caught.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm not going to say how stupid they are. I'm not going to say they're a big money grab for the government.
Yeah.
Don't break the law. They're not a money grab if you're not breaking the law.
Exactly.
Anyway. Same thing with on the trails.
I've said the same thing, Steve. You know what?
I've pushed my luck on the trails lots of times.
Yeah. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I've often just came back and kind of,
if you get caught,
I did it. Yeah. When I'm caught, I earned it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Pay the price, learn the lesson, hopefully.
Don't just say, I can outrun the cops and nobody's going to stop me. And
yeah. Well, you know what? And you brought up an interesting kind of memory from the past.
Yeah.
where one of our buddies years ago outrun the cops on his motorcycle.
Yeah, he thought he did great.
Yeah.
Until he drove and they were waiting for him at home because
Yeah.
you can't outrun a radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got his license plate, waiting for him at home.
Yeah, they don't have to chase you.
Yeah.
And even if you don't have your license plate, it's like they get on the radio and say, "Hey, there's this snowmobile going this way," to another cop that's like 10 miles down there. It takes you a while to get that far.
Yeah.
You can't outrun a radio.
No,
Like, you're not, I mean, you might get away, but
I mean, this isn't Dukes of Hazzard.
that's true.
You know what I mean? You can jump all the driveways you want. They're gonna get you if they want to get you. They will.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah.
So, with that said, we've talked this year about what was he thinking, and one of the topics that's come up multiple times as we followed this story is Wolf Guy.
Yeah.
Well, Wolf Guy out in Wyoming, can't remember his name, Cody something or other, finally has pleaded a deal as opposed to going to court and facing a jury, because at that point he would have been in some big trouble. Possibly a couple years in jail and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So he copped a plea, avoided a felony charge, which would have followed him for probably the rest of his life. He ends up with 18 months probation on his own.
Yeah.
And about $1,300 in fines, which is better than the $250 fine that he got initially.
Yeah.
So they did step up. He did get a little bit more of a spanking. I'm going to say, if nothing else, it has brought some visibility to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
A $5,000 fine would be nice, because that's a fine where you'd go like, ooh, that hurts.
yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But still, 18
Yeah.
months probation.
Yeah.
I mean, is this guy wearing an ankle bracelet? I don't know. I mean, what?
He's obviously not that bright, so he's got to be pretty careful for 18 months.
For sure. And $1,300, he probably can't cash in that many empties.
That's true.
So he's probably screwed.
Maybe it does hurt him a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, that's kind of the end of this story. And I'm glad something more happened than just a $250 fine and off you go.
Yeah.
And hopefully, again, it's the education that people get when they're doing this sort of thing.
He's certainly famous now, so that's probably not too good for him.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, not good famous.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know, it's one thing to be Aerosmith and there's no, any news is good news.
Yeah.
But when you're a local citizen
Who's been,
in a small town area,
Yeah.
well, you're pretty vilified.
Yep. That's
So.
good.
Yeah. What have you got for us for a tech tip?
Oh, we'll talk about crankshafts.
Okay, Cranky, tell me all about it, because I know you got a cold and you're kind of cranky today.
Yeah. Well, a lot of guys will say they're rebuilding their motor.
Yeah.
But are you really rebuilding your motor if all you put in is a couple of pistons and go ride?
Well, you and I have talked about this a lot, and I mean quite a lot, just, over a beer. And we even talked about it in a previous episode where guys that do a fresh top end versus buying the extra $20, is it, or $30 for crank seals to pull it apart and do it right.
At least inspect your crank,
Yeah, at least have a look down there.
So I don't expect that a guy's going to put a crank in a motor just to freshen it up.
Just for the pure.
That's kind of tough. But if you need any crank work, if you've ever had to have a crank fixed, I mean, the two outside bearings for the outside bearings are pretty easy. You can do that yourself at home. Mm-hmm. But if you got to get into the inside bearings or the rods, and you got to take this into a crank shop to get rebuilt, it's about as expensive as just buying a remanufactured crank.
Well, I guess by the time they separate these things, press the bearings off, and I mean, you say the outside bearings aren't so bad, and I agree, they're not bad. But you still have to have a press.
Yeah.
You still have to be able to do it correctly.
Yeah.
But once you start taking this crank apart, and then putting it back together and rebalancing it, because these things do need to be balanced. Spindle guy. If you're listening, Spindle guy from last episode. They need to be balanced so that they operate properly.
And no crank company is just going to change one bearing that you need changed. They're going to do them all. And by the time you've done all that, it adds up to about the price of a remanufactured crank. And we have remanufactured cranks available.
Good.
So in this case, the guy stripped out the center gear. The brass gear in the middle of the crank, which I think is ridiculous on a Polaris.
Well, at least they don't have those fiber gears that turn the oil pump anymore.
Well, it'd be
that
nice.
They say they never put in, that I personally took one out of.
Polaris?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I had to rebuild a motor for free because of that stupid plastic gear.
It wasn't, whatever, fiber something or other. Yeah, well,
okay.
Yeah.
And then the new one you bought was metal. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
stainless steel.
putting your brass gear, that's your gear that's supposed to fail in the middle of your crank, doesn't make any sense to me either. But in this case, the guy destroyed the middle gear. By the time you get that gear changed and all your bearings done, you can just buy a remanufactured crank, plunk it into your motor. There's nothing nicer than starting a job with a brand new crank ready to roll. And we have them available. We can get them.
Okay, so basically at that point, if you're doing a rebuild, you're doing it properly.
Well, now you've got a new crank, and then you put some pistons in there, and you've got like a... You
have a fresh motor, not a fresh top end.
You can do a crank and a top end. Well, I could do a crank and a top end and charge what I charge for around $2,000. If you got a pretty good sled, something you really want to keep, or it's pretty, a bit newer, $2,000 isn't the end of the world. And then you've got like a brand new motor top to bottom. Yeah.
So Steve, do you take anything into consideration if a guy shows up with just the motor and says, it's blown, can you rebuild it for me, versus him showing up with the whole sled?
I would appreciate that if you just showed up with a motor.
Yeah.
I hate taking motors out of snowmobiles.
Yeah.
I love rebuilding motors.
And at that point, guys can save a little bit of labor because it is a pain in the ass.
I'll save about $500.
Yeah.
I've told that to people. They can save about $500. And if it's a carbureted snowmobile, I'll say even send me the carburetors, because I'm going to go through those too to make sure they're all good and clean, everything's good. And if the motor's blowing up, I'll try to figure out, why. Yeah. And if there's any issue with bearings, I just put in remanufactured cranks. I've only had one or two cranks have a rebuilt over the years. It's just easier to start with this.
Well, and I'm gonna say delivery time. What is delivery on these?
2 days.
2 days.
If it's in stock, which it generally is, I haven't had to wait for one. It's 2 days. You send that off to a shop to get rebuilt.
It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks or more, depending on the shop. Yeah, depending on how busy they are.
On a usually fairly short season, and you want your sled back, you dropped it off Wednesday, you want it Saturday because you got a ride plan. Not that you're going to get it back anyway, because it's still, the amount of time it takes to wait for it, your turn to come.
Yeah.
But it sure speeds up the process.
Yeah. You can have all the parts in 2 days. Pistons, crank, seals, everything.
Yeah.
Ready to go. Yeah.
For sure. All right, Steve. What else have you got for us?
That's it, man. I just talk about cranks today.
Okay, well, you are kind of cranky. I mean, you've been really fired up today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, with that said, snowmobiling is all about performance. And Performance Supply is all about ensuring that you have a great snowmobile season. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.